Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. And welcome to a beautiful Wednesday morning on this side of the world, at least. Our teacher for this week is Krishnamurti. And if you are a reader of quotes, I'm sure you would have seen quotes with Krishnamurti's name at the bottom. His full name, Jiddu Krishnamurti. And his message for us today is all about fear. The idea, the concept of fear, what fear does. So I've got quite a few quotes from Jiddu Krishnamurti to share with you on the topic of fear today. Stefan, a very good morning. Hello, it's awesome seeing you. Linda, good morning. Sunmari, good morning. I really love starting my day right here with you. Danae, a very good morning. Anthony, good evening. Let's get into Krishnamurti's message about fear. When we talk about fear or listen to talks about overcoming fear, and we hear that everything we've ever wanted is on the other side of fear, it often sounds like the ways to overcome our fears are something like jumping out of an aeroplane or diving with sharks, facing your fears. But these are really only peripheral things. Jaws and skydiving, they are not the fears that rule our lives. Grain, a very good morning to you. Happy Wednesday. Krishnamurti says, one of the major causes of fear is that we do not want to face ourselves as we are. And that hits the nail on the head. The view that I have of myself. When I look in the mirror, what I fear I am, and what I am scared I might never be. These are the fears that steer my thoughts and my daily actions and reactions. Krishnamurti says, fear is one of the greatest problems in life. A mind that is caught in fear lives in confusion, in conflict, and therefore must be violent, distorted, and aggressive. It dare not move away from its own patterns of thinking, and this breeds hypocrisy. Until we are free from fear, we may climb the highest mountain, we may invent every kind of God, but we will remain in darkness until we are free from fear. He says, fear is the destructive energy in man. It withers the mind, it distorts thought, it leads to all kinds of extraordinarily clever and subtle theories, absurd superstitions, dogmas, and beliefs, all because of fear, all in the reaction to fear. He says, what is needed, rather than running away or controlling or suppressing or any other kind of resistance, what is needed is understanding fear. That means watch it, learn about it, come directly into contact with it. We are to learn about fear, not how to escape from fear. One last thought from Krishnamurti says, if you come across fear, stare into its eyes, face it, and you will notice that fear fades away. There lives within you both a scared human and also a fearless creator, and you get to choose who steers the ship. But understand this though, you cannot be the fearless creator by pushing away the scared human. If you reject and abandon the scared human, you're only causing more fear. And if you are at war with yourself, you only guarantee that your most fearful parts will fight for control of the wheel. Our journey today is called a sense of self. And this is just the way that Krishnamurti suggests it. This is coming face to face with the parts of ourselves that act and react in fear. I like to call them in this meditation our inner children, bringing them closer and having a conversation, really listening to what their fears are. Again, that is exactly what Krishnamurti suggests. He says, come face to face with fear, understand it, learn where it comes from. Because until we have overcome our fears, we will be in darkness. Pat, a very good morning. It's good to see you. If you're ready, here we go. You can close your eyes and we'll float away together, starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. Take a deep breath in and out. A deep inhale. And let it go. Deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. As you breathe in, stretch out your spine, lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And as you breathe out, let all of that go. With every exhale, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders, and drop your head. We are inviting our inner children to sit with us on the mat this morning. In my mind, it always looks like a grade 1 teacher calling the kids closer for something like story time, or at least having a conversation. We'll use very simple examples, but you can use whatever examples come up for you. The simple examples are sadness, anger, and what we spoke about, fear. Sadness, anger, and fear. Call these 3 inner children closer and ask them to sit with you and breathe along with you. Our journey today is diving deep inside and trying to form an understanding of our own fears, interact with fear. And we don't have to search very far. Because most of our inner narratives, most of the chatter that happens inside are based in fear. We'll give each of these inner children an opportunity to be heard. We'll ask sadness to speak. We'll ask anger to speak. We'll ask fear to speak. And we'll try and form an understanding that at the core, as a foundation of all of these, the trigger really is fear. There's something that I'm scared is going to happen, and that makes me sad. There's something that I'm scared is going to happen, and that makes me angry. And of course, fear itself speaks for itself. While you continue your full body breathing for just a moment longer, take a look at each of these three inner children and let them know that you are here to listen. You want to really hear them. And you want to really understand. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, helping our bodies stretch and adjust and settle down into as much comfort as possible for the rest of our journey. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward and roll out your neck muscles, going forward and to the left and forward and to the right. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big circles, nice and slow. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. See if you can tilt your head towards the left and tilt your hips towards the right. Curving your spine into an S from your head down to your tailbone. And then see if you can change direction. Curve the S in the other way. It might take just a little bit of coordination, but that's obviously really good for your brain. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened our bodies into a state of presence, at least as much as we are able to, We can now turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. If you don't have the time to sit for the whole meditation with us, then this is a really good place to stop. However, if you are here for the whole journey, then with every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, feel into your body and feel how softness slowly slips in and settles in every part of your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow through your body. Feel your shoulders slowly falling, feel your body slowly softening, and feel how you are slowly slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting, feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath, but hold it only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, I want to remind you of these inner children sitting with you. Ask them to also take a deep breath along with you. Take your next big breath. The very simple examples we are using today are sadness and anger and fear. But I want to remind you that you can use whatever examples come up for you. Perhaps there is something else that you feel you regularly have to deal with. For this example, though, we'll turn towards sadness. The part of you that sometimes feels sad, or the part of you that can have a narrative, an inner narrative of sadness. We are asking sadness to speak, remind you of what are your thoughts, what are your feelings, what are the words, what are the sentences that are on repeat when you feel sad. There are normally a little bit of a recording. It tends to be the same sentences, the same phrases every time we feel sad. That's not a good or a bad thing. It's just how our brain works. There are multiple recordings. As you take your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, turn towards sadness and ask sadness to speak. And just listen. Take your next big breath. Could you get a somewhat of a look at sadness? This is not important, but it's helpful to be open to this. When you look at sadness and hear sadness speak, can you get a sense of what sadness looks like? With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, I want you to ask sadness a question. It goes something like this. Sadness, when you feel so sad, when you have these feelings of sadness, there is something that you are afraid will happen. What is that? What is it that you are afraid will happen? So as you take your next big breath and as you dive deep into you, turn towards sadness and ask that question. What is it that you are afraid will happen in these moments when you feel so sad? and see if you can just listen to what comes from inside of you. Take your next big breath. Take a moment to thank sadness for being seen, for being heard. It takes courage. We'll turn our attention now towards anger, and we'll do the same. As you take a deep breath and dive deep into you, ask anger to speak. Remind yourself of how it is that you feel when you are angry. What are the words, what are the sentences running through your mind on repeat when you feel so angry? Let anger know that you are here to listen. And while you listen, see if you can form a picture of what anger looks like. It's not important that you find the image. It's simply helpful to be open. Take your next big breath and let anger speak. And I want you to ask anger a question. Turn towards anger, look at anger, and say, anger, when you feel so angry, in those moments where you think all these thoughts and feel all these feelings, what is it that you're afraid is going to happen? More than likely, you're trying to prevent something from happening. So as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, turn towards anger and say, what is it that you're trying to prevent when you feel so angry? And take your next big breath. Take a moment to thank anger for being seen and being heard. It is a brave thing to do to be seen and be heard. And then we'll turn to fear, fear itself. Let fear know that you are here to listen. And as you take your next big breath and dive deep into you, ask fear to speak. Remind yourself in those moments where you feel scared, what are the thoughts going through your mind? What are the feelings you feel? What are the sentences on repeat, the same recording playing again and again? And as you listen, open yourself to seeing what fear looks like. What does this part of you look like? Again, it's not important to see the picture. It's simply helpful to be open. Turn to fear, ask fear to speak as you take your next big breath. And then an attempt at understanding fear. Turn towards fear, and I want you to ask fear this question. Say, when you feel so scared, there's something that you want. You desperately want something to be different than what it is. There's some kind of change that you really want to happen. So fear, when you feel so scared, what is it that you really want for me? What is it that you really want for us? And take your next big breath. Take a moment to thank fear for being seen, for being heard. It's a very brave thing to be seen and be heard. We're going to take the last few big breaths of this phase together and once again ask these three inner children to join you. Breathe along with you. Sit next to you, sit on your lap, or however your mind comes up with a picture of where they are being right now. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, Make it a long, slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel how softness slips in and settles in every fiber of your being. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or even lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. Every trigger we have, everything that is triggered within us is triggered by a fear. Some part of you, some narrative within you is scared that something bad will happen. And whenever a fear is triggered inside of us, the very next thing we do is either going to make the fear worse or make the fear better. And it tends to be that our knee-jerk reaction makes the fear worse. Whether it's sadness, anger, fear, or any one of the multiple other emotions, when we turn on ourselves, when we punish ourselves, when we speak harshly to ourselves, when we are at war with ourselves, the level of fear in our system only increases. Sometimes, in an attempt to do better, we go completely in the other direction. We don't want to face any of this. We want to numb out, run away, hide. And now that part of you that is scared is feeling abandoned, alone. So once again, the fear only gets worse. Krishnamurti tries to describe this. He says, get close to fear. Look into its face. Sit with it. Listen to it. Keep looking into its eyes. And you will find that fear fades. When you make it safe in your system, when you make it safe in your body for these things to be felt, and the simplest way is to do an exercise like this, where I make it clear I am listening. Speak, I want to understand. I'm here listening. Whenever fear is triggered in your body and you take care of it, then it actually does get better, not worse. When it is seen and heard and held, the fear in your system comes down. And now the really important part of this is, which part of you is it that can do the listening, that can do the seeing, that can do the holding? Because think about this practically. If I'm listening to anger and I'm really leaning in, I'm taking note of exactly what anger is saying. I'm making anger feel heard and seen. Then I'm not being anger. I'm being a different part of me. And the more I do this, the better I get at being this other part of me. The part of me that can do the seeing and the hearing and the holding. The more I practice this, the more this other part of me becomes dominant. What do we want to call that? My true self, my being, my soul, my highest self, whatever label we want to stick on it, that is clearly the strongest part of you. The more I practice this, the more I live as the strongest part of me. Come and do this exercise again and again, and you will find yourself becoming stronger than you ever thought you were. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say your own. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to feel into the strongest part of me. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to understand this contradiction. That when I deal with the scared parts of me, we could say the weakest parts of me, when I give them space to be seen and heard, I'm stepping into the strongest part of me. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning that when fear is triggered inside of me, whatever I do next will either create more fear or less fear. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to not be at war with any part of me. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. Thank you for taking your time to listen to the scared human in you. And in so doing, you are giving the wheel to the fearless creator in you. Good morning, Anne-Marie. It's good to see you here. Maggie, a very good morning. Happy that you made it here today as well. Thank you to Pat and Anthony and Linda and Sunmarie, and trying to remember who else is back there. Stefan and Danae, and I don't remember all the names, unfortunately. Thank you, Linda. Hope you have a beautiful day. And thank you, other Linda. Have a beautiful day too. Thanks, Grain. See you guys here again soon. Ciao, ciao.